there on that boat.
Abuela, what the hell I'm gonna do with baseball cards?
Do you have any idea what these are worth? Let us through.
Quiet. Marco, always making new friends.
Danny, you're late. Where's Alejo?
Just the feeling of like being in a firefight and hearing the click of the gun, throwing it down, grabbing one off the wall.
My gunner's upside down and he's like laying in. I see kill assist, kill assist, kill assist.
Any pistol across any of the games. Whatever gun allows me to feel the most like John Wick, I am there.
I remember how excited I was with like this big combat with vehicles going all over the place.
Halo means something different for everyone, right? I think that's what makes Halo great.
What is Halo multiplayer? And for me, it boils down to this tight arena-style combat and big team battle, this wide open, vehicle-infused kind of combat. We're taking that awesome legacy or classic Halo combat experience and modernizing it in ways that'll feel fresh to old players and really exciting to new players. We're gonna give you great ways to customize your Spartan, really make your super soldier your own, and we're kicking off a journey, an experience that's gonna evolve month to month, season to season, year after year.
For me, working through this multiplayer of this game, and the toughest challenge I think was really about how do we respect the legacy of what came before us, but still build something that feels new.
We've tried to bring all these elements of legacy and really inject them into Halo Infinite, not just like in a way where you kind of won't notice it, where you feel like, oh, they really designed this to be a celebration of previous Halo, as well as an iteration of where Halo can go next. The vision of Arena was all about a tight experience. It was all about being fair. It was all about earning everything on the map, earning everything, every kill you get.
Going back to like what is the core foundation of what made the great Halo multiplayer arena matches great. Halo, it's really about fair and balanced starts, so everybody's on equal footing when they come off the rip. And then once they start running around, it's about scavenging, it's about finding new toys and kind of developing your playstyle as you run through the match.
What makes Halo feel like Halo? I feel like the answer to that question is the sandbox. Like, the sandbox is Halo.
When we set out to look at Halo Infinite from a high level and the direction of what it is, there's lots of exciting things there because we really wanted to push what are the things that are true to Halo, but what are the things that fans haven't seen yet.
Equipment is back, but equipment is kind of has a bigger voice than ever before. We ask questions to ourselves of if you could go after, a power weapon to get a bunch of kills, would you do that, or could you go and get grapple to make sure that you swing yourself to the other side of a map to back cap a stronghold? We saw it as like another avenue of not just skill expression, but tactics for teams to coordinate around.
The exciting combinatory nature of this toy plus this toy and how those interact with objectives is super amazing.
Looking at how the power-ups play, like your classic power-ups like the overshield and the active camouflage. For this title, what we're looking at, what we're excited for, is you pick that up and you choose when you activate it. It goes into your inventory. If you haven't used it and someone kills you in multiplayer, you drop that overshield and then they can take it, use it for themselves. That to me is very legacy, but we took the equipment side of it and modernized it. When it comes to the vehicles, we went in and decided to invest a lot in the systems. When I take damage in my Warthog, my wheels can get blown off, my hood can get blown off. There's different aspects of the vehicle that change how my vehicle handles now. And that's something that's brand new.
The other thing we added to that is like this doomsday mechanic. So when you hit this threshold, the vehicle catches fire, and it's very much, you've got a certain amount of health or a certain amount of time, and you gotta choose what you wanna do with the last minutes of this vehicle.
We've got a cousin to the Warthog, which is the Razorback.
The back has this like multi-storage compartment that you can put a lot of stuff into. So if you want to put like detached turrets, power weapons, fusion coils, objectives, and that is what's really making the Razorback kick a lot of butt in MP and campaign.
The levels define pace for the game, how frantic it is, and they define that iconic fantasy for players as they're entering that match. What do they want to do? What type of experience are they hoping to have? What kind of combat, what kind of dance floor is there available to have that combat in?
For me, BTV is all about experiencing the full extent of the sandbox of Halo in just one match, right? Like you see the vehicles, the weapons, the equipment.
We really wanted to take that kind of concept, those feels you had, you know, playing the previous games, and just turn the volume up. Vehicles are no longer just spawning at bases anymore. We have Pelicans delivering them, and we have a commander in your ear telling you that Pelicans are going to be dropping off these vehicles.
European tank is inbound.
We have Halo 2 style Delta Halo mission weapon pods that fall from the sky to resupply the field.
That's where it makes it feel like a real battlefield, and it's very exciting.
This is not just more players, this is just this certain beautiful slice of sci-fi chaos.
The announcer is your big gameplay moments, your game modes, just like the way it was before. Personal AI is really a reflection and information for the player.
Personal AI, designation button.
So if a player grabs a flag, your personal AI is going to tell you to, get that thing back to base and give you some like moment-to-moment updates.
Our team took the enemy flag.
What if we can let players choose their own AI, and each one of those are different voices, so that players can find the one that fits their personality and their mood the best?
They add to the sense of like me as a Spartan being more important, and for us in multiplayer it is really about becoming a Spartan. You're Spartan. You are you inside of the Halo universe.
The body of customization content that we have on day one ensures that there will be millions of customization combinations for Spartans on the battlefield. That includes things like armor coatings, armor emblems, various armor effects, down to the individual armor pieces. So your shoulders, your gloves, your knee pads, your helmet, your visor, your helmet attachments. Then you look at weapons, and we've got a whole slew of customization offerings there. Vehicles have a huge pool of customizations too. We support customization in the game. Players can do the same thing on HaloWaypoint.com, as well as the Halo Waypoint app.
The player also customizes the Spartan, the soldier inside the suit. We want the Spartan to represent the player as much as possible. They can change their body type and their voice, as well as choose prosthetics for the first time.
Coatings offer us a unique opportunity to craft some hyper-polished looks and let you express yourselves in ways you've never been able to before. We're coming at this from a player-first mentality. So what that means is that there's no random loot in this. There's no loot boxes. It's very important to us that everyone understands exactly how they unlock customization content. And we have a variety of places where they can do that. First off is the Battle Pass.
The Halo Battle Pass will never be taken away from you. And what I mean by that is once you buy it, it's yours and does not expire. In future seasons, you can purchase old Battle Passes as well as the current Battle Pass and choose which Battle Pass to put your progression towards.
All of these rewards are single source, so you're never going to be confused about where things come from. If you can unlock something in the Battle Pass, we're not going to let any other players circumvent that by purchasing it out of the storefront.
A lot of our stuff is unlocked through playing the game and only through playing the game. All customization is just cosmetic.
Every season will have its own theme and introduce new components, new looks, new gameplay for players, new opportunities to earn and collect cool rewards. We've seen the Samurai already. That's one of our event armor cores, and that's going to be something that players can earn through gameplay for free.
With us going free to play for the multiplayer part of the game, like that was a big goal because, how do we have a way we can always bring players in, right? And they can, when we have a new update, they'll just dip their toes in if they even just want to see it.
Not only are we free to play, but we're free to play on PC as well as console. And what that means is we're able to get the biggest audience we've ever had. Everybody gets to play with no barriers. And even better, your progression carries from one platform to the next.
Getting our game to be on PC and console at the same time is an amazing chance for us to really just kind of excite new players about the game. How can we do things like make cross-play interesting, and like even in just customs, being able to just play with your friends. Like some people have PCs and some people have consoles, and like let them talk to each other, let them be friends.
Why are you here?
to be a Spartan.
The Academy is a place that you can go within MP to kind of onboard into the experience. It's great for newer players who are still picking up the controls and also people who want to warm up before they head into matchmaking. It's a series of experiences, both a tutorial to get started for the first time, weapon drills to practice with specific items, and also training mode that you can use to just get warm, explore the game as you want to.
For players who are new to Halo, let's help them learn what this universe is about. Some of these characters, what are they about? And help them kind of know the vocabulary that people have been speaking for now almost 20 years, so that when they come in there, they don't feel like they're behind everyone else. They can kind of come in on an even footing.
I mean, I'm super jazzed about bots. I think they're awesome. Our goal with bots has been to have a variety of difficulties that kind of provide a good training partner for wherever you're at in the experience.
Partnering with our players on the road to launch and after launch is absolutely critical, right?
I mean, Halo's always been about the community conversation.
We want to make sure we hear our players, make changes where we can based on that feedback, make sure the game is ready for launch, and then even beyond launch.
What I'm genuinely excited about is taking the game out of our hands and putting it into the community's hands. You know, whether it's seeing what people make in Forge or the content that they're able to create with theater, watching streamers go after the game.
To get involved, you go to haloinsider.com, put in your info with your gamer tag, and we should be able to reach out to you if we want to invite you to a Halo Infinite flight.
We feel like we've got a pretty good selection at launch and what's going to be there for our fans. And this isn't going to be something that is just a static set of items. We have some new stuff in the works already, and just can't wait to really get into that as soon as this game comes out.
New maps, new modes, new ways to customize your Spartan. Launch is just the beginning. Now we're just going to be able to talk, interact more frequently, and that's just going to be great. That is the future of Halo Infinite multiplayer.
Thank you to the community for all their feedback over the years so far, and I'm looking forward to the road to launch, launch itself, and beyond.
Gave up his ticket for his family.
Bullshit. Alejo is an orphan.
Alejo's not going anywhere anymore. Come on, Marco. Let them on.
Vamos.
Good man.
Get out of the box and go.
Gracias.
Don't worry about it, chamaco.
Here. That's all I've got.
This isn't right, Danny. We should be fighting, not running to the Yankees.
Alejo gave you a fucking gift, Lira. We survived. Same as the orphanage, same as the academy.
What's that?
No, this is a fishing boat. You will, no.
Papa loves to fish. We would go out on a boat, just like this, and we would catch the fish and then release them. We would say it's not always about your stomach, mijo. It's about the challenge. Except when he caught a big, fat, juicy marlin, he was too proud to let that fish go.
Tirano! You have poisoned Yara! You have poisoned your sword!
I've caught a very big fish today. Haven't I, Diego? Diego!
No way.
I have caught you, mijo. Now it's time to bring you home.
I don't want this anymore, Papa.
We have no choice.
Let them go. They can work. Make Viviro.
Truth or lies?
Truth.
They could be good workers. They could help rebuild paradise. But if you wanted them to live, you would have never set foot on this fucking boat. 13 years old. And Diego has such compassion for his people. These fish, we will catch and release.
Вы что, серьезно? Никого не было, пока я был, блядь, в отсутствии? Нормально, нормально, бля, нормально, нормально, бля. Всем здоров, всем хай, всем привет. Я буду делать вид, что здесь кто-то есть, хотя тут никого нету. Всем хай, сау. What's up, блядь? E3 начинается, чуваки, сейчас будут новые анонсики, понял, да? За E3. Нихуя хуйня вероглазная получилась. Вербигласная па-па-па-е-ба-ба-бота, блядь.
Welcome to day 3 of E3 2021. I'm Lucy, and joining me today to discuss all the big events is Dave Jewett.
Hello.
And Timur Hussain.
Day 3, best day. Let's go.
I don't know. I would have said yesterday was probably best day, unless Nintendo and Bandai really lit out of the bag tomorrow. I think yesterday was pretty huge. We had obviously Microsoft and Square, so. I don't know, maybe today we'll also have some surprises. We've got a lot of things that we'll be covering and showcasing. The ESA's programming is kind of out there right now, so we can talk about what we can expect to see. And it's a little bit more of a mixed bag. It's not like big, huge press conference that'll last 90 minutes. It's more varied, like lots of little smaller things. So let's go through it. After this, at about 9 o'clock PT, we're going to throw over to a Verizon panel. Like a mysterious Verizon panel. If you're outside of the US, Verizon is, I believe, just a mobile carrier. So not really sure what they're going to be showcasing, but after that, we do know what Intellivision are going to be having. So they have a brand new retro-inspired console called Amico, which, Dave, I'm going to come to you. We kind of got this panel this morning that goes on for about half an hour, maybe. Amico by Intellivision. What do you make of it?
I think it's going to be a very wholesome showing. I think it's going to make, let's say, the older audience happy. I know a lot of retro gamers out there, because let's be honest, the original Intellivision came up before any of us three were born. So it's in the list of all of the retro consoles that we've seen having like a resurgence. This is going to be, I think, the biggest throwback we've seen yet. But it's cool that they're actually creating something that's couch co-op focused, that might bridge that gap between the retro gamer and maybe their young child, sort of give them an opportunity to bring them into the fold of retro gaming. And it looks like they're adding a lot of new spins to a lot of old games, like Missile Command is being sort of reborn. They're adding touch screens while still keeping the same like Intellivision 2 aesthetic, but at the same time to appeal to the younger audience. While every game is E for everyone, they've got things like emoji charades. So I'm hopeful that there's no. I mean, if I was the guy buying this, we're not playing emoji charades, we're playing Missile Command. We're skiing down mountains, we're chased by a monster, and that's it. That's all we're doing.
And I mean, to be fair, Airflame Jim as well, probably. But, you know, like if you were playing this with a kid and they saw something like emoji charades, you're probably going to be playing that one. Yeah, so it's actually coming out on 10th of October, so not too long to wait. But they've got a showcase showing off some of the games and obviously some more features from the actual console itself. Tam, do you think you're gonna pick one up?
Absolutely not. I don't think that. I think it's going to be interesting for people. It looks like everything about it is pitched towards younger gamers and bringing them in. The problem with it is, and I'm all for it. I think it's really cute. I love the idea behind it. I love the idea of coming at gaming from simplicity. But if we're really being honest, it is gonna trade off nostalgia. People who know in television, who know the lineage, and who know what it represents. And with that in mind, you start to ask questions. Like if you're, first of all, it looks like it's going to retail at about $250. At which point, are you convincing your young child, or however you might be related to them, to have an Intellivision when it's roughly the same price as a Nintendo Switch, which all their friends have and all the cool kids are having and all the games are on? I think you're having a tough time there. So only people in my mind that are going for it are like people who are like, I remember in television, I'm going to pick this up, but I'm going to say it's for this kid. In that scenario, I'm just like, who is this really for? Like, ask yourself a question, who's this really for? I'm glad it exists and I hope that it does well, but personally, I have 0% interest in it. Like, I can play a Missile Command in many different ways. I can play a bunch of these games in many different ways, but I will admit it's a slick looking thing. It looks really nice. I'm kind of
Спасибо
like,
за
see
follow.
how the controller works, and I hope it does kind of do well. I would.
Спасибо
I will be surprised if
большое.
it does, but you know.
Как гуляется, норм?
Fair play to them. Go for it.
Не, здорово, здорово.
Absolutely. And I think for me as well, it's the kind of thing.
Делаем красиво, да, вот так вот. Оп.
After in
Ну,
television,
это
there is
хорошо.
the Take-Two interactive panel. So,
Линзы снять.
for everyone holding out hope.
Бля, ебать я желтый.
Today and
Надо
the way
исправить.
that Rockstar, obviously owned by Take-Two, are gonna announce, you know.
Кстати, да, Rockstar Games будут на Take-Two, этот, на E3 Take-Two приедет. По тебе скучаю.
Within games. So I think
More
everyone
important
kind
than
of,
GTA 6.
yeah, super important, like a super important conversation.
А еще погуляем, что, последний раз, что ли?
Are using this
По
positioning
кайфу.
and within E3 to have that discussion. But obviously a lot of disappointed people who are like, oh, we thought it'd be GTA news. I honestly, Dave, do you foresee any GTA news this year beyond, well, I mean, we're getting the next gen versions of GTA 5. And I think if you're playing GTA 5, and like GTA Online is going to be free on PS Plus eventually, and if you play a bunch of it now, you'll get free money towards that if you play it on PlayStation.
Сейчас
Do you think
наших
we're gonna
позову.
get any news beyond that?
No, I think if anything, we're just gonna have more
Так.
GTA 5 content. Like it's still one of the most played.
Надо как-то
games
красиво сделать.
It's on, especially online. The thing just prints money. So I don't think they're in any rush to make the next iteration of GTA. And if you look at how long they've had the next gen hardware or current gen hardware now to play and experiment with, they're going to take their time and make the next GTA something incredible. Like when GTA 5 came out originally, it was really leading edge and pushing everything it could out of that generation of consoles.
Бам.
So I think they're going to
Здорово, привет!
big.
Здорово.
And like I said, they've got so much just out there already that's got such a consistent player base, and
Сейчас
the
красиво
community for
уберем
GTA
вот это
is
всё.
so healthy and also creative as well that it's its own community is sort of
Фолловы
also
полетели.
adding in new content. We see
Спасибо за
content coming
фоллоу.
on TikTok all the time. I
Здорово!
constantly videos of people racing trucks down
Бля, 6 человек
the
смотрит.
Hot Wheels track, or
И
they've crafted some sort
красиво,
of
красиво.
sumo arena where they bash trains
Чуть
into
что я
each other.
желтый какой-то, да?
I think that it's gonna be at the very earliest next year.
Ставьте плюс, если хотите GTA 6, блять, на E3.
I mean, I think as well, it's.
Да никакой GTA 6, кому я, блять, вру.
Do a game announce.
Нас наебут
someone
опять, никакой
else's
GTA
show.
6.
You know, like I remember.
Здорово всем,
maybe
Иван.
beyond agent, but you know,
Привет.
typically they can just. I remember when they changed their Twitter header to red, and everyone was just talking about that nonstop. That it was going to be like the new Red Dead. Like they can build that. They were one of the very few companies who can just build that sort of mind share by themselves. So yeah, I don't expect anything big Rockstar wise today. But Tam, in terms of Take-Two's other properties, obviously they own Private Division.
Ух, фолловы полетели. Сейчас, секунду.
When do you think is the next time we'll hear about some of those projects that Private Division are working on? Because they did publish, am I right in thinking? Yeah, they did publish Outer Worlds.
Спасибо за фоллоу.
Yeah.
Sixman, если я правильно прочитал.
Yeah, I think it'll be some time before we see.
Здорово, всем здорово.
The Outer Worlds 2, especially considering that whole trailer was about we have nothing ready beyond the name.
Давайте GTA 6 покажите и разойдемся, блин. И будет неплохо.
Especially for a label like Private Division, it doesn't make sense to be in amongst the kind of the hustle and bustle of E3. They're going to benefit way more for.
А можно прям совсем поменьше, да, сделать?
Only when everyone is listening to them and only them. So I think it will be a little while. I don't expect it will be like years and years, but maybe even towards like a few months from now, they could start drip feeding some information about some of their games. But you know, it will be a while before anything major is announced, I think, coming from Private Division.
Yeah, I agree. So after the Take-Two D&I panel, we also got a panel from Mythical Games, who are developers of a game called Blanco's Block Party. The reason
20 минут.
More recently,
Take-Two and more.
Because they're sort of...
Так, давайте пока сейчас поищем какие-нибудь другие трансляции.
It sounds like it's coming straight from Black Mirror, I suppose. But like Blanco's Block Party.
Так, E3, ну это такое оригинальное, да? То же самое, много пиздежа. Ну я так и подумал. Ну ладно, будем тогда эту смотреть. Что еще остается? Или прям трейлеры посмотрим. А го прям трейлеры посмотрим, что мы тупить будем. Давайте прямо трейлеры чекнем и не будем париться. Ща. Прям делаем вот так вот. Вот так. Маленький экран можно отрубить вообще. Оп.
Which helps game devs make NFT-based marketplaces for their games that are all fully regulated. And so, Dave, what do you think we'll see today?
This is a game that truly can.
Getting какач. Отсылки гачи-мучи пошли.
2021, isn't it? It's got like a dozen different buzzwords that 6 months ago no one had ever even heard of. The combination of blockchain, there's NFT stuff, and I read that if you
NFT, блокчейн, какие слова крутые.
You get an NFT skin. I'm not sure how that works, but you can sell it on the in-game marketplace and trade it for other things. It's got some real weird like strangeness to it, I feel. Like
18 минут. Может, какой-нибудь айтипедия стримит? Ну-ка. Кто-нибудь еще там, типа, поинтереснее, чем оригинальная трансляция. Вот этот парень вроде ничего так. Ну ладно.
So aesthetically, it's ticking all the boxes for that younger gaming audience, the kids that play Roblox, that play Fall Guys, that want the sort of same vibe as that. And I think, but the community element of it,
I've been hurt before. Sure. Every time they don't announce rival schools, a little part of me dies like a Horcrux. But in the meantime, I will hold out that hope and just be excited by everything else coming that way.
Other end of that same spectrum of this game's life, you have
Много специалистов сидят и что-то обсуждают. Сложно.
They did talk about the RE4 during the Oculus presentation, so they went through that a fair amount. But yeah, I mean, as far as the day goes, though, I mentioned on stage briefly, I am looking forward to Mythical because they have a very unique style of game that they do. It's focused on blockchain technology, right? Everyone's talking about the blockchain right now. But it is cool. I think like providing actual value to items in game, you know, through the blockchain.
Блять. Ладно, 17 минут. Там и блокчейн обсуждают, ну нафиг. Какие смайлики красивые. Я пока чат не добавил, бля, типа с Ютуба-то чат работает, а вот с этого, с Твича чат работает, а с Ютуба не очень. Так что все окей. Есть русские субтитры?
blockchains, NFTs, the
Нас
environmental
обманывают.
issues,
Их
putting all
нет.
this marketplace trading stuff in a game that's very obviously designed for kids. So it's a strange sort of chimera of a game at the minute.
Yeah. Tam, anything to add?
They can get these NFTs nuts. That's what I can add to that.
Опять там NFT.
That's about it.
You've been sitting
Don't
on that
care
one for a
about
while,
any
eh?
of that shit.
He has been
Well,
waiting.
stuff is-
I was
it's just
watching
like
him
the
formulate that.
It's the most whack stuff that you can put in video games. Just keep that shit out of here, man. I am at my wit's end with NFTs and blockchains. Everyone involved in that stuff can go to hell.
Right, I know what. Right.
Someone didn't get a graphics card day one.
Yeah.
Да.
I
Да.
feel like that meme where I'm like, I don't understand what blockchain is, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask. Like, I barely got my head around an NFT, and I don't want to know what.
Давайте красивые трейлеры,
Here's the
пожалуйста.
thing, like I have been.
Ну, пожалуйста.
I've spoken to a lot of people who are into blockchain. They're into.
Давайте
NFTs,
О,
and I can tell
здрасте.
you with 100% certainty, they have the exact same energy as people who are involved in.
Красивый трейлер GTA 6 плюс чат. А, ну давай.
They are. Those concentric circles are overlapped. Those people are the same people, and as far as I'm concerned, all that shit is nonsense, and I have got no interest in it. I do not want anything. Good luck to this mythical games team in making whatever they're making with NFTs, but I do not care one bit.
Yeah, I'm just really intrigued as to how they are gonna try and sell it. Because obviously, like Dave, as you mentioned, packaging NFTs and a marketplace like this into what is basically a kids game.
Интересно.
I don't know. It makes me feel a bit uneasy.
Где, блядь, моя GTA 6?
Who regulates the regulators?
Regulators mount up.
14 минут еще хуйни. Да вы чё, серьезно?
This is already sort of when it comes to regulating things. Like crypto isn't regulated. We don't have like a governing body of.
Ладно, чекнем пока настройки вебки. Не слишком ли я яркий?
All this blockchain stuff is really integrated to our media.
Сравним со скринами идеала.
I think the most interesting thing could be is that this mythical game.
И поймем, что скрин оригинала полная хуйня, полная абсолютно, беспросветная, да. Я, ну ладно, буду таким перенасыщенным, перенасыщенным красивым. Да будет.
But it might end up sort of being.
Это нормально. Ну, да ладно. Ждем, у нас 14 минут есть. Я хочу чай.
The potentiality of this stuff. So at the very least, on a grander scale, if this ambition does that, it could, in theory, come to good things there. But I think that's way too early to see yet.
It's just this weird scheme that is put in place where everyone, and it has such a corrupting influence on everything, where people are putting this time and effort into creating these elaborate ways of making rich people richer. Like, you got to have a decent amount of money to make any sort of progress with NFTs, and blockchains less so, but like, who's got the time and money investment to mess with that? And the fact that it's like eroding creative fields is one of my biggest.
За тоже чай хочу.
Like,
Да.
you can't just look at a piece of artwork anymore.
Блять.
You have to be like, yeah, this is nice, but it's also a
Арабы.
and you know, artists that I have enjoyed looking at their work for are suddenly not making art; they're making NFT projects.
Я, кстати, я с ним согласен полностью, я также думаю, что NFT projects, да.
And these weird, you know, Silicon Valley bros are just in the background, just getting rich off this stuff, not really revealing what's going on, and not really just wasting everyone's time. Just focus on making art that everyone can consume instead of making art that's designed for one incredibly rich person to buy for an exorbitant amount of price and then say, I got the JPEG, this is my JPEG.
Grow up, everyone. It was already a recipe for success, I feel, because they're making a game that feels like part Roblox, part Fall Guys. They've both got huge fan bases. There's a community element in building worlds and games. I feel like if they just focused on that more, then they could have had a recipe for success already.
Yeah.
And all this
USP,
sort of buzzword
Dave.
tech
Need
stuff.
your USP.
But USP
I mean, the thing is as well.
leeching graphics cards. I'm not for it.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm gonna move us on because we've been spending way too much time talking about NFTs for my liking. But to play devil's advocate, if you're an artist and you are making art, then you deserve to be paid for that. So that is kind of like the balance, right? You're giving artists a new source of revenue, like a new revenue stream there. But to Tam's point, like if it's just one person who gets to just keep that art and hide it from the world, then it's a different story. It's a very strange situation, and we've only got about 12 minutes before we're going to throw over to the ESA stream, so I don't think we're really going to get to the bottom of that philosophical quandary. But so for the rest of the day, that's kind of like the morning stuff. Then in the afternoon we have Indie Showcase. That's just what it's called on the ESA.
Давайте устроим чаепитие. Вы какой предпочитаете? Я предпочитаю зеленый. Зеленый с мятой, топ. Зеленый с мятой, топ.
They have their own little press conference. We're going to be doing kind of a more
Цейлонский молочный, да, зеленый с мятой. Офигенно.
We can also talk about it right now. Tam, what are you expecting?
Бля, еще 10 минут, сука, я спать пошел. Я прочитаю любой плюс. А я спать.
5-minute Reddit AMA for that one, and some Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, I feel like my hope is that they have more beyond that. The Monster Hunter and Resi stuff is going to be a big part of it. Rumblings of a Street Fighter 6 have been knocking around for a real long time, and I really would love them to tease something around it. Like SF5 has just, I think they said they're done with characters, but then they said that once before and they brought out more characters. And as we know, like, you know, Sony has invested in Evo, and Street Fighter 5 was a PlayStation PC exclusive. So I'm not sure. I would love to see a teaser for a new Street Fighter game, or some sort of fighting game from Capcom. Fighting games are very much their bread and butter alongside Monster Hunter and Resident Evil. So it would be good to have something new to show off there. That's my big hope.
Yeah, Dave, what about you?
All I want, 3 words: Dragon's Dogma 2. We know it exists in theory. After that huge leak, you can go down the list and be like, okay, that's been talked about, this has been talked about. Dragon's Dogma 2, nothing. So I hope beyond hope that this is the year they at least start like bleeding out a little bit. Just be like, hey, we are going to confirm it exists. It's not in the ether. It's not just on a wiki page of all our leaks. It is something we're working on, and the bees are doing the soundtrack again. Those are all I want. Dragon's Dogma to exist, and to have a soundtrack that is as big as a banger as Dragon's Dogma 1. That's my wish list from Capcom. I'm a simple man. I'm easy to please.
Did they make a next-gen version of it? Imagine that. Of
There's Dark Arisen.
No. There was Dark Arisen. They released that for Switch.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah, I remember playing when Dragon's Dogma originally came out, and that title screen song was an absolute banger. And they changed it, I think, for Dark Arisen. I was like, oh, why have you done this? Did you watch the anime?
One downgrade that game got.
Fair.
Yeah.
Did you watch the show on Netflix?
I did watch the anime, and it was I wouldn't rush to watch it if I were you. It was fine, but it wasn't Netflix's best animated production, I'll say that.
I was gonna say, because we did have like obviously Castlevania did just absolutely dominate, I think, when people are thinking about Netflix video game adaptations. And obviously at Geek Week last week we did have news of more Castlevania, but I believe it was fairly quiet on the Dragon's Dogma front. What would you hope, Tam, from a Dragon's Dogma sequel?
Honestly, like I feel like the original Dragon's Dogma still has so many ideas that haven't been explored by other games or even itself fully. Like the pawn system is still pretty incredible, and that like the climbability of literally every type of major enemy in there is huge. And it was so ahead of its time that some of the things that it did back then are only just now becoming big deals. Like, it's a weird comparison, but like you can climb anything, or you can climb most things, is like a thing that everyone used to talk of Zelda, right? That's a big thing. And like the Dark Souls element, that was one of the few games that took some of the seeds of Dark Souls and spun it off into something more interesting. So I feel like they could come back with a lot of the same ideas, and also you know, mix in some of the learnings that they have from combat-wise from working on Devil May Cry, because Itsuno-san was the person who kind of worked on that, and he went on to make he worked on DMC3 and also most recently DMC5. And has worked on a bunch of fighting games as well as CVS2. So taking some of those learnings and just kind of giving us a new version of Dragon's Dogma in the same way that the original was, could be like it's still a breath of fresh air in this current landscape of games. I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, I would too. I'm not sure if we'll see any of it today, because they have, you know, it's a relatively short showcase. They've already outlined 4 games that they'll be talking about, even though the Monster Hunter Rise is literally a 5-minute Reddit AMA. What is that going to be? Are there going to be more monsters? Yes. That's like, I'm already puzzled about that one. Resident Evil Village, though, is the one that I have question marks about. Do you think, is it too soon to talk about DLC beyond anything from Mercenaries mode? No,
I think now's the time. Like, Resident Evil Village has got a good amount of buzz, and it the ending especially, I've not seen it yet, so but
yeah, I'm still in the factory.
There's a lot of questions. Yep. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about from what I've heard, and they want to keep the momentum going. Now's the time to at least reveal the DLC, even if it is still a little ways away from being released. So I hope there's a good chance. If I was in Capcom's shoes, I would say hey, we're gonna do a Heisenberg DLC.
They won't. They would do a Lady Dimitrescu DLC. I feel like Capcom maybe didn't realize how big she would be until they kind of released that first trailer, and everyone just latched onto her. And so obviously they kind of oversaturated her a little bit in the marketing, but I wouldn't be surprised if anything future was like some sort of flashback, or I don't know, any excuse.
There's still a lot to explore there, I think. I've only played the very beginning of Village, but it's an interesting story behind the houses. So a prequel more focused on that, I think, would be super cool, and sort of take the spotlight more away from Ethan. I'd be all for that, and I'm only tangentially interested in Resident Evil.
Ethan has a real exposition-itis problem whenever he is just walking around the village, and so I would love it if maybe we didn't play as him, or if he was sort of toned down a little bit. Like, I don't need to kill a room full of werewolf guys for him to say, whoa, I can't believe I killed all those werewolf guys. But no, I'd be interested to see, and I hope it isn't just like someone or something coming to Mercenaries mode. I think, like Tam said, now is when they should be striking. Like, the iron is hot. I think the NPD group revealed some of the sales figures, and like Resident Evil Village was huge for the month of May. I mean, it was everywhere, and it was really good. So fingers crossed. There is also, like, Dave, you reminded me of this just before we went live, there is Resident Evil 4 VR. We saw, where did we see some of that? Was it the Keeleys back in December, I want to say?
Yeah, we know it's for Oculus, and I know they're pumping a lot of money into getting some cool exclusives. So maybe I'll finally build up the courage to... I don't even know how I'm putting that there. No, I won't. I'm a massive coward. Not even gonna... I'm not entertaining the idea of playing Resident Evil. Never mind putting it on my face. I know loads of people are gonna love it, but like, it's cool that it exists, and more Resi 4, and I know it's like, you know, cult classic and everything, but I'm not having it that close to my eyeballs. You can get that away.
Yeah, but it's not a horror game. It is definitely more of just an action game, and it's very... There is certainly, because I know you so well, like, I know there will be moments where you would definitely jump, especially it being in VR, but I'm genuinely very intrigued about that one, especially because we don't really have any kind of a pipeline of news on I mean, they've remade 1, 2, and 3. It's probably on the cards they're going to remake 4, given that it's on every other platform and one of the most beloved games of all time. But it seems like Resident Evil 4 VR is going to be this kind of stopgap game. So you know, I'm intrigued. Fingers crossed we hear more about it today. Also today we've got a Razer panel, which is about 45 minutes in length. And shout out to Razer because they haven't revealed anything about what they're planning to show. They only said like there's a chance to win prizes. Dave, you are our hardware lad. Anything that you would love to see from Razer?
I know it's usually reserved for CES, but I love seeing more of Razer's weird stuff. Like when they did Project Hazel, and that was their smart mask that was a concept back in CES, but everyone make that please. That would be rad. And you know, us wearing masks isn't going to go away anytime soon. COVID could disappear tomorrow, and I'd still be wearing a mask because frankly, I don't miss having a cold every time I commute to work. So they might say, "Hey, you loved Project Hazel. We're actually gonna make that now." But other than that, I think maybe just the usual showing from Razer. They're dipping more into sort of gaming culture sort of scene, like the chairs and everything. So we might see more of a push towards that, as well as new keyboards with probably more OPX switch stuff. Some of their new switches, that'd be really cool to see. And maybe an update from their Save the Rainforest initiative, Sneaky Sneck, I believe it is. Because Razer are putting a lot of work into sort of those initiatives that are sort of giving back, which is really nice to see. So hopefully, at the very least, we get an update on that, just as a little wholesomeness in amongst all your mouse and keyboard news.
Yeah, I think going to CES and going to the Razer showing is probably one of my favorites, just because, like you said, they have like just the weird stuff. They had that like this PC cooling tower that essentially looked like the Batwing, and so I'm intrigued to see what they have. I assume like standard stuff, like more hardware is going to be on the cards, PC, laptop stuff. But I'm intrigued to see because this is their first like proper E3 presentation, and it looks like it's going to be a good chunk of time too. So we're going to throw over to the Verizon panel. We'll be here all day, kind of interspersed throughout all of the press conferences and segments. So make sure to stay tuned on youtube.com/GameSpot, GameSpot.com, twitch.tv/GameSpot. And we'll be back with all of our expert analysis throughout the day. So enjoy.
Hello everyone, I'm Diego Scotti, CMO of Verizon, and it's great to be here. This is my first E3, so you might be wondering why am I here and why Verizon is here at the industry's biggest gaming conference. Well, let me tell you, this past year changed everything, including the world of gaming. The pandemic sparked a massive growth for the industry. New players came in droves, and for many, gaming took on new meaning. It was a source of comfort, a creative outlet, and a means of connection. In fact, we estimate that 5 out of 6 people in the US have played a video game at some point in the past 6 months. That is amazing. And this growth has propelled the gaming industry towards massive new creative opportunities and cutting-edge ideas. Gamers know better than anyone that cutting-edge ideas demand new technologies that can keep up. And that's where Verizon comes in. Because here's the thing, in our increasingly fast-paced, interconnected world, we need technology that can transform every aspect of gaming. Technology that is not limited to a single console or platform. What we need, it's a network, and that network is Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband. That is why we're here today, to tell you about Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband's high speed, low latency, massive capacity, and the power of mobile edge compute, or MEC, and how Verizon is powering a gaming revolution. We're going to talk about 3 gaming communities that will benefit the most. The first community is the developers who create the games. We'll see how developers can make the most graphic-rich multiplayer games ever created. And immersive gaming formats like virtual reality can come to life in whole new ways. The second community is the sports teams who play them. We will look at how players can download games in seconds, and data-intensive multiplayer games typically reserved for consoles can now be played on mobile. And third is the community of fans who engage with them. Fans can stream games on the go with no additional downloads or consoles needed. So in all these 3 areas, Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband is the innovation that makes other innovations possible. Let's take a look. Wow, the 5G gaming revolution is on. 5G Ultra Wideband and mobile edge compute are literally game changers for this industry. And to prove it, we'll hear from friends I'm proud to have here with us today. Dignitas, EA, Team Liquid, and Riot Games. It's an amazing group. All the games, all the programs, the hardware being announced here at E3, all of them require a powerful network. And Verizon 5G will take all of them to the next level. We're talking about capabilities that include speeds that can reach up to 4 gigabits per second, latency measured in milliseconds, the potential to support more connected devices than ever before, and smaller handsets with extended battery life. It's simply incredible. I'm so excited. To bring this to life, let's see how 5G will change everything. so amazing. I really loved that video. So now let's talk about the people who are using this technology to create the games, the developers, and how this new technology will change the way they create and publish games. So to do this, I want to introduce Nikki Palmer, Verizon's Chief Product and Development Officer. Take it away, Nikki.
Thank you so much, Diego. To get an even better understanding of how Verizon 5G is making permanent transformations within gaming, I want to tell you about something called Mobile Edge Compute, or MEC. It's a technology that's having a huge impact on those game developers that Diego mentioned. MEC involves putting compute power that would have otherwise been in the cloud or on the device itself into the edge of the network, where those capabilities are most needed for low latency performance. In 2020, Verizon became the first company in the world to launch MEC. We did that with Amazon Web Services Wavelength. So far, we've deployed MEC in this fashion with AWS in 10 major metropolitan areas across the United States. We've also announced a private MEC solution teaming with Microsoft Azure. In addition, we announced 5G and MEC co-innovation collaborations with IBM, Cisco, SAP, and Deloitte. So in short, Verizon is where the tech superstars go when they want MEC done right. So, what does all this mean for developers? A lot, as it turns out. For starters, with MEC and 5G ultra-wideband, processing can happen closer to the user, reducing the time required to upload or download a massive file or crunch a huge database. So, say goodbye to the days of high-def games bogging down the network. Not only that, truly immersive gaming in formats like virtual reality can be enabled, and that reduces the lag and the jitter in the experience that may have prevented the adoption of VR in the first place. This technology also provides a platform for hardware developers that can change the size and weight of a headset, untethering gamers from the clunky hardware of the past and unlocking the huge gaming potential of virtual reality. With augmented reality games also on the rise, there are even more implications for game developers, especially the ones who are so creative that the current platforms can't keep up. Until now. The platforms are here. Thanks to 5G ultra-wideband, even the most visually complex cloud-based games can come through beautifully on any user device, just as their creators intended. Developers can now focus on making the best games. They can rewrite the rules for creating eye-popping, graphics-rich multiplayer action without worrying about hardware or network limitations. So, now that we've lifted the creative limitations for developers, I want to shift gears to talk about the second community being impacted by the power of 5G, and that's esports teams. Esports has been one of the fastest growing entertainment categories in the world. With access to Verizon 5G ultra-wideband and mobile edge compute, new games can be played with higher fidelity and lower latency, creating new opportunities for esports leagues, especially mobile esports. Our 5G labs have been the perfect place for esports innovation. These 5G and MEC-enabled environments are cutting-edge incubators for forward-thinking companies that are ready to build and scale the future of gaming. In early 2020, Verizon's 5G lab right here in LA became home to the Verizon 5G Gaming Center. This first-of-its-kind facility was created in partnership with Dignitas, serving as their West Coast headquarters, home to its League of Legends teams, and place to co-create the future of esports engagement and content. Since then, we've expanded our capabilities to include a world-class XR stage, cutting-edge volumetric capture, and a space for player analytics. We are taking it to the next level, exploring how 5G ultra-wideband network can enhance player performance, enable new fan connections, and empower the next wave of gaming and esports experiences. Let's see how.
I
I don't think any other organization or company has what we have here at the Verizon 5G Lab. It's the first in the world, so it's really exciting to be a part of something so innovative and seeing where it can take esports. Verizon is definitely elevating the game to the next level. My name is Emily Garrido. I go by Emelite in-game, and I'm the team captain for Dignitas's all-women's Valorant team. We have everything that we need here. We have streaming pod rooms if we want to connect with our fans on a personal level, boot camp rooms so we can really get down to business and prepare for tournaments. It's really nice to have the gaming center here and our own little personal streaming pods and basically have one-on-one conversations with all my viewers. My full name is Carolyn Noquez, and in the gaming community, I am known as ArtStar. I am a content creator for Dignitas, and I was formerly a professional player on the Dignitas CSGO female team.
Esports is really just like any other sport. They want to interact with their fans, and there's a very high level of accessibility. We have a ton of different technology. We have a virtual production stage that allows for XR. We have a volumetric capture stage. 5G is going to have a huge impact on gaming, and it will completely revolutionize how games are played today. Right now, mobile games utilize either processing on a phone or processing in the cloud. 5G combined with MEC is going to completely change that paradigm. The lab is a fantastic place for us to partner with game developers to learn how they want to build their games in the future in order to take advantage of our network. So consumers will be able to have multiplayer, augmented reality games and experiences on their mobile devices, so they will eventually be able to do that anywhere.
It is incredibly exciting to see Verizon really taking it to the next level. So innovative and always thinking of ways of how they can make it better. How can they make the connection better? How can they make your gaming experience better?
To me, what's really exciting is when we bring in creative people who are given access to this technology and they come up with an idea that we never would have thought of. And we're just at the beginning of how 5G is going to impact games.
Emily, ArtStar, thank you so much for that. I am so excited about the possibilities of the Gaming Center. I'm going to turn it back over to Diego.
Wow. Thanks, Nikki. I totally agree. It's fantastic to see that gaming center come to life. Now, let's move on to the third and biggest community that will be impacted by 5G, the fans and their experience. That connection between esports players and their fans is so unique. There's no other sport that has the same real-time personal connection. And just like the players, these fans want innovation too. And to create the deeper engagement and immersive experiences they want, we are going to need to harness the power of 5G. To help me bring this to life, I want to introduce someone who truly knows fan engagement. She has fans both as a dynamic member of the Minnesota Lynx and as a streamer with Team Liquid. Ariel Powers.
Thanks, Diego. Hi, everyone. I love competition, whether it's on the court or streaming. And as one of the most successful esports organizations in the world, so does Team Liquid. TL is tech forward and always looking to push the envelope, innovating how we train, compete, and engage with fans. The fans obviously share that love for competition. This synergy between Team Liquid and the community lends to a critical connection, one that shapes who we are. And we've only just begun to scratch the surface of what's possible when it comes to community engagement and sharing moments around competition, both in person, which we're all looking forward to getting back to, and virtually. Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband is the key to unlocking the future of these experiences. With the power to enable teams and players to deliver the most immersive and personalized experiences ever, the technology is transforming the way fans play and consume content. Team Liquid has a 20-year history of changing the game through the power of community and innovation. And we could not be more excited about the next phase of gaming, brought to life with Verizon 5G. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ariel. This is really exciting stuff. Now, there is clearly new territory to tap into with fan engagement. I am convinced it is the future. And to help build that future, Verizon and Team Liquid are joining forces for a groundbreaking 5G innovation partnership. We'll generate fan-facing 5G experiences that will reshape engagement around esports tournaments, whether you're there in person or watching virtually at home in real time. Let's look first at in-person events. This year, as live events return, Verizon and Team Liquid will give fans new experiences at the industry's biggest events. We have over 60 stadiums and arenas around the country with Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband. In here, fans can look forward to 360-degree portal views into the gameplay for a fully immersive experience, and the ability for top streamers to play live from venues during these events. Something that has never been done before. Only with that powerful connection can you unlock second screen experiences that immerse fans in the competition and that allows top content creators to stream live from those venues. And for those watching remotely, VR innovations will allow fans to experience live events together virtually, giving them the best seats in the house. And 360-degree access that puts them in the middle of the action. I can't wait to see what comes from our Team Liquid 5G innovation partnership. Now, Verizon's expansive collection of gaming industry partners is capable of reaching over 120 million of those players, and that's in the US alone. We want to show every one of them how Verizon's networks will benefit both players and developers in totally new ways. A great example of this was our partnership with Epic to create the Super Bowl 5G stadium in Fortnite creative mode. This was the largest branded experience ever built in Fortnite's creative mode. And it gave players the opportunity to interact with their favorite NFL players and pro players in a way that's never been done before. The activation featured 4 football-inspired games and a few hidden surprises for players. It was a great demonstration of the power of 5G for gaming with the low lag and high speeds made only possible by Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband. But 5G doesn't just transform battle royale games like Fortnite. It also changes single-player and strategy games. I am thrilled now to invite a friend of mine to talk about how Verizon 5G is amping up the player experience. He is safety for the LA Chargers and a seriously engaged model NFL player, Derwin James. My man.
What's up, my man?
So great to have you.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming. You know, you all know this guy. You know, he plays for the LA Chargers.
Yes, sir.
And your home field is the new SoFi Stadium, which is amazing.
Yes, sir.
It was created with the most cutting-edge technology in existence. And I tell you, it is home to Verizon's largest 5G stadium built in the country, built with 5G at its core, so ultra-wideband coverage can be found throughout the entire stadium.
I can't wait to get the fans back out there into the stadium for many reasons. The venue is incredible. The tech is built around is going to totally reshape how we watch and play with the game.
It's very, very, very cool. And listen, we can talk about these tech enhancements for a long, long time, but you're here today because you're not only a competitor on the field,
Yes, sir.
but you're also a passionate gamer, right?
Yes, sir.
A huge Madden NFL fan.
I am. I started playing football when I was about 4 years old and Madden NFL when I was 7 years old. So you can say I've always been a competitor. I always wanted to be a professional football player. When I played Madden NFL as a kid, I created my player. I wanted to have super speed, super size, and of course handsome. So, to be able to be the player I am, it showed a lot of dedication.
That's so cool, and you achieved all of that. I don't know about the handsome one, but anyway, it's a great story. And I'm sure you've seen tons of changes in the game since you started playing, both on the field and also on the screen, right?
You could say that. The innovations around Madden NFL and the gaming overall are incredible. The tech advancements have enabled so much. When I started playing, there were maybe the color cords with the images were blurry, the networks were kind of slow, so you're constantly getting a lag. It's so different now. The visuals are more realistic. Networks have gotten better, and you can play with a group of people all over the world, so you don't even have to be in the same state or city. You can be playing with a friend in a whole nother country, which is amazing.
Oh my God, it's amazing, and you can't believe what 2 decades of innovation can do to the game. So, as you think about the future, what do you want to see next?
Madden NFL is already delivering a lot, but I'd love to see more new modes and experience with deeper and authenticity and to what it's like to be on the field. I want to feel like I'm in this moment as a player. I want to feel like I'm out there. So more engagement with opportunities to connect with people and other people across the world. So being able to be mobile, because I'm constantly on the go as an athlete, so I want to be able to connect with my friends mobilely too.
Oh, that's really cool. And listen, I'm glad that you mentioned mobile because we believe at Verizon that mobile is the future.
Yes, sir.
We ended the year, and I'm going to hear this number, with 17,000 5G small cells all across the country.
Wow.
And we expect to have, by the end of the year, 30,000, so everybody can enjoy 5G. So I tell you, this kind of expansion means that the powerful connection you need for console quality gaming experience on mobile, like the one you want, will continue to grow very quickly. And here's another thing. We are taking it also to the next level because we are combining this power of the Verizon network with the creativity of the developers of EA. Their team will work with our 5G labs to innovate using 5G to focus on creating the most dynamic player experience ever.
Yes,
so together, our goal will be to produce optimizations for EA Sports, including your favorite Madden NFL Mobile, using low latency to develop mobile experiences, the kind of the ones that Derwin, you, my man, and so many others are craving.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's literally changing the game. Seeing the networks and improvements created over the last 20 years, I can't wait to see what the next 20 years bring with the power enhancing of 5G power.
That is it, the power of 5G. So great to have you, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
My guy.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
So it's so exciting to talk about the new technology and how it is impacting the entire gaming ecosystem across the 3 big areas of developers, esports teams, and fans, all bringing fantastic innovation to the industry. But today, there is also a 4th area that is very timely for us to talk about, and that is the importance of supporting diversity in the gaming industry. As technology stretches the boundaries of what's possible, and as the industry grows, the players and the fans are more diverse than ever. And so a different sort of innovation is required. With this shift, and this is something that is very close to my heart, actions to increase diversity and inclusion within the gaming community are more important than ever, more urgent than ever, especially those supporting female representation. Diversity has become a major force driving the industry forward. And as the players and their fans who are consuming these products become more diverse, it makes a lot of sense that the people who make the products, so the developers, should also reflect that diversity. I am a firm believer that change starts with action. And we are taking action together with Riot Games. In March, we partnered with Riot to launch the Valorant VCT Game Changers Initiative. It is a fantastic program that elevates women and other diverse groups within the esports community. And most importantly, it inspires the next generation of players. So to talk more about the need for increased female representation, I am thrilled to introduce now the executive producer of Valorant, Anna Dunlon. Anna, welcome.
Diego, thank you for having me.
It's so great to have you here.
I've never been on the E3 stage before. This is really exciting.
Well, I'll tell you, that makes us two, because this is my first E3 too. But I'm very excited to have you here, especially because you are one of the most influential women in an industry that is predominantly male, from players to developers to heads of publishers. So I really was looking forward to this conversation and ask you, what are some of the biggest challenges you see for female players and also for those that are trying to build their careers in tech?
It's a great question. It's an important question. And I really like that you're asking it from both angles. So when it comes to competitive gaming, women still find themselves at a huge disadvantage. And it has absolutely nothing to do with skill. It's because they can't focus 100% on the game. Instead, they need to spend energy dealing with all the harassment they face. And having experienced it firsthand myself, it can be daunting, and it takes away from the focus of the actual competition. And how is that fair?
No, it's not fair. It's not fair at all.
It isn't. And it's something we spend a lot of time discussing on Valorant and at Riot. And, you know, it's not a terribly easy problem to solve, but the problems we're solving are rarely easy. What I will say is that we're absolutely committed to creating an inclusive environment for competition and creating safe opportunities for women to compete without fear of identity or gender-based harassment. So that's the gaming aspect.
That's so interesting and so real. So let me ask you then, when we talk about careers, what's the situation there?
Okay, so when it comes to careers in gaming, there's definitely work to be done there as well. I was fortunate enough to have a really impactful mentor early on. I had just started a job at a temp company, and while I played games, I had no idea what a career in gaming could even look like. And then at this gaming company, one of the women I was working with told me she thought I had what it took to become a game producer. I had no idea what a game producer was, but I went with it, and now 20 plus years later, here I am. And as you mentioned, there are not enough women in the industry, so it means a lot that she brought me with her. I try to pay that forward to all the women who are coming up after me, but we need more.
Wow, I tell you, your story is so inspiring, and it's the first time that I actually hear you saying it like that. So thank you, and it just reinforces how important mentorship is. So a little bit of a follow-up to the previous question, but how can both then technology and commitments to allyship play a role in the changes that we still need to see in the industry?
So I'll tell you, one of the most exciting parts of being a developer is that I get to be part of creating the future of Valorant. My team and I spend all of our time dreaming and exploring ways to make the player experience even better. And then we get to go and actually build it. It's a really interesting mix of creativity and engineering. All of the technology you've mentioned on stage today is impacting how we work and what we're able to create. So please keep those advancements coming. When it comes to specific changes that need to be made to protect women in competitive gaming, we absolutely need to keep investing and prioritizing innovations that help fight against harassment. And honestly, the gaming community needs to take a more active role in the community that it's creating. If game developers can be allies, and I truly believe we can and should, then so can your teammates in game. And again, we just need more women throughout the whole gaming ecosystem. We need an industry-wide commitment around diversity and inclusion, and we're finally starting to see that.
I like the way you said, and I couldn't agree more. We need more women, we need more diversity in the industry, and that's why we're taking it to the next level. Today, we are announcing an expansion of our commitment to the Valorant Game Changers Initiative. We are launching together today a new training program dedicated to mentoring up-and-coming female esports casters. The program that is launching very soon this fall will team up them with professionals in the field to provide them with practical tools and knowledge to help advance their careers. It's pretty cool, huh?
Okay, so this is amazing. Game Changers is all about providing experience and exposure to women in gaming. We want to inspire the next generation of not only players, but any women who want to build careers in any aspect of the gaming industry. So this program fits so perfectly with our mission. It'll provide a pipeline of female talent that is so sorely lacking. I am so glad that Verizon is not only acknowledging the issue, but taking actions to push for change.
Well, I love what you say, but the reality is that no one can make real change alone. So we are equally thankful for your support and for Riot's support as well. Fantastic job.
Thank you.
So Anna, thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for the great conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, Diego, and honestly, thank you so much for caring about it as much as I do.
It's great to have you. Thank
Thanks.
you. So now I have a final big announcement, and I want to ask Nikki to help me with it. So come on out, Nikki.
Yes, Diego, this is big, and I am so proud to help announce it. You know, Verizon is deeply committed to building a more inclusive and diverse tech sector. Our work in this space has been going on for decades and frankly speaks for itself.
We are so proud of the work we've done, but we also know that more action needs to be taken to address the lack of female representation in gaming and more broadly in STEM. So today, Verizon is making a new $1 million commitment to increase female representation in gaming and STEM. For this, we are creating the Verizon Game Forward Scholarship. The scholarship is an expansion of the Future Fund, our initiative to support emerging female talent across entertainment and technology.
That's right. And you know, this fall, Verizon will partner with 5 historically Black colleges and universities to provide scholarships to 5 female students at each school who are active gamers and also pursuing degrees in fields that are tied to gaming development, such as computer science, graphic design, software engineering. And those 5 schools are Dillard, Delaware State, Morgan State, Texas Southern University, and Howard. We'll build tech centers on each of these campuses that will be open to the entire student body. And we'll also provide the scholarship recipients with access to the Verizon 5G Gaming Center for training, as well as mentorship.
And I tell you, here's the best part. We are guaranteeing the students internship opportunities at Verizon and with our gaming industry partners. It is these kinds of deep commitments that will help build the diverse talent pipeline the tech industry needs. We are really so proud of this and for the opportunities it will give these women.
Absolutely. And you know, I just cannot wait to see what these students do.
Nikki, thank you.
Thank you.
So I hope the last 30 minutes have clarified why Verizon is here for 2 big reasons. Number 1, technology. Verizon has a vision for how 5G and related technologies will bring an entirely new level of creation and experience of gaming for the developers, for esports teams, and for the fans. And secondly, we see this next gaming generation wanting and needing inclusivity, an industry that is more diverse and more welcoming of new faces, new voices, and new perspectives. We are here to help make astonishing things happen in gaming and esports. But we're also here to listen and to learn. Gaming is a sector of bold thinkers, free spirits, and wide open creativity. Verizon wants to support that and empower it even further. So we look forward to working with you and playing with you for a long time to come. Thank you.
Welcome back to the E3 2021 caster desk. It's me, it's Jackie, and Jackie, two very interesting announcements there at the end for Verizon, right? Number one, Verizon and Riot teaming up for the Game Changers Mentorship Program, huge. And then, of course, this Verizon Game Forward Scholarship. 5 historically black colleges, 5 gamers at each one getting not only a scholarship for school, getting guaranteed internships at Verizon or game partners. It's a $1 million program. It's about building the tech sector and obviously getting women and minorities involved in this. How important is this, Jackie?
Honestly, they kept on echoing that we need action.
Yeah.
To create change, like we need to start doing things like this. And you think that we've made so much progress, but I can't even tell you how many times people come up to me and they're like, "You play video games?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't think that you would be into that." And I'm just like, man, it's crazy. Gamers come from all walks of life. And, you know, we heard Anna Donlan talking about this a little bit, but sometimes when you're a woman, it can be very discouraging. A Twitch chat can be extremely harsh. Social media, like it can be extremely painful. But seeing something like this that is uplifting and encouraging, I'm so excited for it. And you know, they kept on talking about the next generation. So many young women out there are watching this, and I'm sure that they're like, wow, like there's scholarship money out there for this. Someone's like, you can do this, and it really warmed my heart. So
100%.
happy to see it. Really happy to see it.
And yeah, one of the things in there before I toss for you, of course, is that Anna was talking in the Riot segment, right? That the gaming community needs to be better about building the community it's in.
Yes.
And I can't agree with that enough. If you know anything about Greg Miller and Kinda Funny, being better is a big part of what we always talk about. Is be better to each other and don't be a jerk. And I know right now on our very own Twitch page right here, a bunch of people are being jerks. And everybody who's a good person, which is the majority of gamers, need to step up, ladies and gentlemen, and of course show that the positive outshines the negative. That's my rant. Goodbye on that
Thank
one.
you so much for that.
Verizon and Riot, what a team up for the future. Let's talk about esports though, right? And speaking of esports, I want to hear from more of the voices on the scene about how esports has evolved over the years and where it's headed.
For the longest time, I didn't even tell my friends and classmates in school that I was a professional gamer.
Back when Blockbuster was still open and we had MLG events.
People that organize tournaments, you know, people used to drive around vans with computers and off their own money just to set up these LANs so people could play, so there could be an experience of, you know, people gaming against each other.
And I would go to my local Blockbuster and compete in getting the high score in different Nintendo games, and I would always win.
I always compare it to like a fight club, you know.
Ой, блядь. Да.
And over time, you know, it's
Я
just,
уснул.
it's blown up.
Короче, хуйня, блядь, понятно.
And the people in the industry who were once, you know, made fun.
The body of customization content.
Сталкер был. Сталкер вчера показывали.
That we have on day one ensures that there
bash trains into each other.
Well, let me tell you. All the games, all the programs, the hardware being announced here at E3, all of them require a powerful network. And Verizon 5G will take all of them to the next level. We're talking about capabilities that include speeds that can reach up to 4 gigabits per second, latency measured in milliseconds, the potential to support more connected devices than ever before, and smaller handsets with extended battery life. It's simply incredible. I'm so excited. To bring this to life, let's see how 5G will change everything.
Ну, утомился, с кем не бывает, короче. А они все равно ничего интересного нет на этой презентации.
Changes in the game since you started my first E3 too, but I'm very excited to have you here.
Ай, бля, хорошо. Бля, еще телефон сел.
Especially
Я устал, короче.
Then to increase female representation in gaming and STEM. For this, merging 5G creating inclusivity.
Я реально уснул. Ну, типа, значит, не так уж и интересно было. Да. Весело.
Sports. But we're also here to listen and to learn. Gaming for a long
Не. Я устал.
Different Nintendo games.
And Howard. We'll build
Да. Да. Бля, ну и скука.
These cards are broken into 4 categories: Reflex, Discipline, Brawn, and Fortune. Reflex cards typically focus on granting bonuses to speed or stamina. Discipline cards are all about efficiency, so they offer buffs that give better accuracy. Stranger to unique entries in the Years ago, a small development team owned by Valve, known as Valve South, dropped a little game called Left 4 Dead, a zombie-themed co-op first-person shooter that pit 4 players against a zombie horde.
Чуваки. Вчера было интереснее на E3, короче.
If they hope to survive. This helped give birth to a whole new subgenre of co-op survival first-person shooters. And while Valve continued the legacy with Left 4 Dead 2, the original developers of Left 4 Dead, now reformed as Turtle Rock Studios, had not returned to the genre that they helped pioneer. That changes with Back 4 Blood, an appropriately titled 4-player zombie-themed co-op survival shooter that goes into closed alpha testing starting today. And if my early impressions are anything to go off of, it's good to have Turtle Rock back where they belong. So much of Back 4 Blood is directly inspired by Left 4 Dead that I think it's actually important to lead off with the areas in which it tries to be different. And nowhere is that more apparent than in its deck building system. In Back 4 Blood, you actually build a deck of cards that you pick in each level. These cards are broken into 4 categories: Reflex, Discipline, Brawn, and Fortune. Reflex cards typically focus on granting bonuses to speed or stamina. Discipline cards are all about efficiency, so they offer buffs that give better accuracy, better healing, more ammo, and so on. Brawn cards buff your health, damage, and resistances. And finally, Fortune cards focus on cards that give you a % chance of something happening, along with other general utility-focused boons, like the ability to have unlimited ammo on your secondary weapon, or being able to shoot while sprinting. You select 15 of these cards to build your deck, and at the beginning of every level, you'll draw 3 and pick 1 card 4 times. And those 4 cards that you choose will be your starting set of active buffs and boons that you'll take with you into the first part of the level. Every time you hit a safe room and move on to the next act, you'll be able to add another active card into the mix. On the flip side of that, though, are the corruption cards, played by the game's AI director. Each level begins with a selection of corruption cards that inform the players of what enemies and obstacles they can expect to face. Just like how you're able to add new active cards at the beginning of every new act, there are also new corruption cards that are added that will throw a new curveball at you. Whether it be fog that makes it hard to see faraway threats, more zombie hordes, a giant ogre that you have to fight right at the start of the act, and so on. The limited nature of the alpha prevented me from really seeing the depth of the deck system, since there's only really one level and a relatively small selection of corruption cards that can change up how the level is played, but the idea seems really promising, especially the interplay between being able to see what corruption cards are coming up, and then being able to plan out with your team what active cards you want to bring in into the next act as a way to prepare. It adds another layer of teamwork and coordination, since you have to ensure that you're not doubling up on cards and have all your bases covered. Another big change to the formula is the addition of a mini shop at the beginning of each new act. Instead of being gifted with new weapons and items at a safe house, instead you're given the opportunity to choose what you want to outfit yourself with before moving on. You do this with a resource called Copper, which you can find out in the levels themselves in scarce amounts. This is actually a pretty big change, since you no longer find any sort of health or item pickups in safe rooms. It's up to you to purchase them all for yourself, and if you don't have the 500 copper to afford a first aid kit, will explode. In part, we crossed a collapsed bridge. In another, we had to blast away pieces that felt completely new. Was a nice climatic way to cap off the level. A ton of stuff happening under the hood to ensure that these levels are as replayable as they can be. Overall, my first experience with Back 4 Blood felt like just the right balance between old and familiar and new and fresh. Turtle Rock obviously knows this genre inside and out, and the ways in which they're emphasizing player choice through deck customization and vendors at the end of every act feels like a smart shift in direction.
Скучно. Вот и все. Да, и типа реально сидел, типа уснул на это. Ну то что, типа, блядь, вчера они сделали прикольно, типа сделали выпуск нескольких трейлеров видеоигр, ты такой сидишь такой в напряжении ждешь. Да-да-да, вот сейчас будет что-то клевое будет. Сидишь такой в напряжении, классно, а тут они просто пиздят, да господи. Тут заебало, но слишком много аудиоинформации, короче, я вырубился. У меня башка перешла в режим энергосбережения.
In 2020. In fact, it did for you. Well, Square certainly doesn't think so.
Isn't that what you want?
The past 12 months has seen the continued resurgence of Final Fantasy XIV Online, with more players joining the MMO than ever, an upgraded version released, plus the announcement of the Endwalker expansion coming later in 2021 that will take players to the moon. Insert, that wizard came from the moon joke here. Yes, we are almost halfway through this thing, but there's still more Final Fantasy to talk about. I did warn you. Revealed at September's PlayStation 5 event, Final Fantasy XVI looks to be bringing the series back to its...
The lighting and camera placement has changed here too, putting you a little bit closer to the characters as
beloved superheroes, and the single-player campaign that introduced us to them was a
Короче, 22 минуты я пойду себе чаю сделаю, потому что я заебался. Я не прекращаю стрим, но я пойду себе чаю сделать, это пиздец.
With a dwindling player base and lack of content, two major issues for any live service game. There is a potential savior on the horizon though, in the form of Black Panther. The War for Wakanda expansion is set to drop later this year, which needs to give players enough reason to flood back in order to steady the ship. Square does at least have form here. It more than made up for a troubled start to Final Fantasy XIV's life. Let's hope the same attitude is applied here. It's not all been doom and gloom. People Can Fly's looter shooter Outriders hit the spot for many thanks to its power trip combat and addictive gear loop. People Can Fly's previously teased big expansions that will add to Outriders' story, so that's something to keep an eye out for this E3. Near Replicant version 1.2247448713 ... showed off more unique delights from the mind of Yoko Taro with this upgraded version of the Nier Automata prequel. Bravely Default 2 gave us a beautiful RPG to play on the Nintendo Switch, and Rhythm Action spin-off Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory hit all the nostalgic notes it needed to. And then there was Balan Wonderworld. Maybe less said about that one the better. So what can we expect from Square Enix soon? We know that Life is Strange True Colors is due to come out in September, and while we've got a decent look at it recently, a reveal of this entry's spin on the series' gameplay seems like something we'll see soon. Neo: The World Ends With You, the long-awaited sequel to the 2007 action RPG The World Ends With You, is arriving as soon as July. Plus Babylon's Fall, the painterly looking epic full of trademark Platinum Games action that we've heard pretty much nothing about since this time last year. Surely it must be time to see more. Then there are the games currently scheduled for 2022. Project Athia was recently retitled as Forspoken, another game we know very little about apart from a post-apocalyptic setting and an abundance of dragons. Then there's Project Triangle Strategy, the spiritual successor to Octopath Traveler that hasn't even been given a proper title yet, but has received a full playable proof of concept demo. These are both games we'd love to know more about, but wouldn't be surprised if we don't hear anything for a while yet. So that's everything we know is going on in the world of Square Enix, but what about the reveals we can only guess at right now? It's always fun to speculate, right? So let's have a go at it. It's been a couple of years now since we've heard what Lara Croft is up to. Has the time come for Tomb Raider to make a comeback at this E3? Yoko Taro has confirmed he's begun work on a new game that he, quote, has no idea how to explain or sell. Might be a bit of a long shot to see it right now, but you never do know with him. There's also Deus Ex and Thief, franchises with passionate fan bases who would surely love to see more. The truth is, there's no way of knowing until Square shares all with the world this summer, although surely they don't have yet another Final Fantasy game to announce just yet. Surely. One thing is for certain though, very few publishers are able to match the variety that Square Enix offers on a yearly basis, and you can more or less guarantee that that will continue.
The PS5 and Xbox Series X have only been available for 6 months, but already the newest generation of consoles has been a busy one. From big exclusives to console updates and problems to much more, PlayStation and Xbox's newest consoles are off to a fascinating start. How have they stacked up so far, and has much changed since launch day? Well, IGN's Jonathan Dornbush and Ryan McCaffrey are here to answer just that, starting things off with a look at next-gen exclusives that have launched in the last few months.
So I'd say it's been pretty quiet across the board for next-gen games since both of these consoles launched last November, but at least on Sony's side, I think like with launch day, they've been doing a little better than Xbox on the exclusive games front. We've gotten Destruction All-Stars, which launched in February, and while it definitely had a bit of a light launch, they've been adding to it and improving it and definitely supporting it since that launch day. And then of course in April, we got Returnal from Housemarque, and though there have been a lot of talk about whether or not it should have some save states in it, it definitely showed that Housemarque can make a pretty impressive third-person action game that really takes advantage of what the PS5 is doing and things like the DualSense and 3D audio. It's a really nice mix of showing off what a next-gen game can be.
Sadly, still, Big system-selling games remain the Achilles heel for Microsoft. We're 6 months in, and there is exactly one game that is completely exclusive to the next-gen Xbox, meaning not available on PlayStation, not available on Xbox One. That game's The Medium. And, hey, it's a good game, but it's not exactly, pumping as much next-gen iron in the gym as, say, Returnal is or Demon's Souls. But still, first-party reinforcements are coming for Microsoft, and the good news is, once they finally do arrive, it's probably never gonna stop again. I mean, they bought Bethesda after all. It's a lot of reinforcements. They are gonna kick it off. They got this year. So Microsoft Flight Simulator, which looks like it's gonna be a next-gen only release on console. And then of course, Halo Infinite in the fall. On the Bethesda side, we're still not quite sure what's gonna happen with Starfield. Is it gonna be exclusive? Is there some sort of deal there with Sony like there was with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo? But if indeed Starfield is exclusive, that is going to be the ace of Microsoft's sleeve. You've got a new Todd Howard game that could be exclusive to Xbox. But Jonathan, one area where Microsoft obviously wins by a one-punch TKO, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out style, is game subscription services. Xbox Game Pass is so good, my friend, that it has actually stolen one of your exclusives. MLB The Show is on Game Pass on Xbox, and it used to be, of course, a complete and total Sony exclusive. So that's awesome. Other cool stuff recently, you've got the previously Switch exclusive Octopath Traveler, Destiny 2, more. It just keeps coming. All that stuff has helped keep us entertained while we're still waiting on the big exclusives on the Microsoft side. And even better, xCloud is now rolling out to iOS devices, to Apple stuff, so that pretty soon, anybody with a smartphone, which is basically everyone, that has a Game Pass Ultimate subscription is going to be able to play their games not only on their console, but from anywhere through their phone at no extra cost for Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. That's just a totally impossible to ignore force in the entire games industry when you take all of that as a whole. Now, if only games with gold didn't suck now, but, I can't really complain.
It is definitely a strange time to say a PlayStation-developed game costs more on PlayStation than on Xbox if you have subscription services on both. It is a very strange place to be, and it's of course, you're completely right. You can't compare what PlayStation's offering to Game Pass. Just nothing stacks up. But at least in a vacuum, thinking of what PlayStation players have been dealing with, things have been largely the same getting into the PS5 generation, but at the very least, I'd say PlayStation Plus's games lineup each month has been a lot better. Definitely when they pared down the lineup of games on PS Plus from 6 down to...
Чуваки, следите сами за E3, я заебал. Они слишком затянули, блядь. Я уже даже уснуть успел, пока они, блядь, эту хуйню. Они дохуя игр, часов говорят про игры Xbox. Да. Я на целый час уснул, а они все никак не могут начать, блядь. Хуйню. Короче, я сейчас думал стрим, Эпик, я нахуй, ты, чтоб ты понимал, я нахуй на стриме уснул. Блять, настолько там особо неинтересно, вот. Такие дела. Ну, просто я не выспавшийся. Хороший фактор, да? Показательный. Короче, такие дела. Все, я тогда пошел. Ну, нафиг. Как будут силы, я еще постримлю, типа, E3, ну... Когда они, блядь, начнут нормально делать презентацию, чтобы было все коротко и понятно. Но нет, надо с пафосом. Все, я пошел. Давай. Пока.